Hello and welcome back to your space with your body graph in front of you and hopefully a nice warm drink in your hands if that's your choice. Mine's cacao right here. We're going to be looking at the spleen centre today. So noting in your body graph, your picture of your energetic blueprint, the spleen is located on the left-hand side of the sacral. You'll see a picture of it in this video. Again, almost a 50-50 split, a little bit more of our community having it defined and a little bit less than half having it undefined. This is our oldest awareness centre, and when you understand what it governs, which is your instincts, your fears, your intuition, your need to survive, which includes your health. You understand why it's potentially our oldest centre, as a number of years ago, this was the primary goal, was to survive. Whether you call it the monkey mind or whether it's the evolution of man, evolution would involve this centre having that fight or flight, fear, flee, survive, be warm, where's my food coming from? It's this centre that governs those intuitions, those instincts. So if your spleen is defined, you have a very fixed and aware centre for what is needed in the now. It's a very quick centre. The instinct for survival tends to be an urgent one. Fear, on the other hand, tends to be the thing that you need to feel in the moment to be able to survive. When you have an open spleen, it can be hard to let that go. We can hang on to fears that don't serve us. So it's good to be aware of. So back to the defined spleen. If it's a life or death matter, you don't have the luxury of time, which is why it's a quick indicator. It speaks once. It speaks quickly because it wants you to react in that time. It doesn't tend to repeat itself, which is how it's possible when you're feeling into your body, how to tell the difference between the emotional solar plexus, which is, I think, the centre more connected, more concerned with the complexities of emotions that we now experience with the more complicated lives we lead. When our lives were focused on the emotion of survival and the emotions that were with that were potentially far less complex than they are today. Just give you a moment to sort of feel into that and see if that resonates with you. The spleen will look at your senses as well. Smell, taste, hearing, touch. It relies very much on these things to give you that quick message response. Don't eat that. Don't be here. It's not safe. These are the messages of the spleen. An undefined spleen, taking in and amplifying the energies around, can be highly intuitive. But you think you're not, because you experience it in many, many different ways. If it takes in, as the undefined spleen, if it takes in and amplifies fear, you can get really stuck in that because it prevents you then from taking action that you would ordinarily move through. If you're prevented in taking action because of fear, and the spleen will talk to you and tell you that you're comfortable and we're safe here, so why risk it? This is the information that comes from what is safe, what is known, what is comfortable. And normally the open spleen or the undefined spleen is battling that need for comfort and security and safety to be able to grow, to be able to move through. So we don't tend to grow from a place of comfort. That said, you have a really fluid connection with space and time. So if you can let go of the fear into the more feel good side of this center, you'll move through what it is to more than survive, more than exist. It's about the living and the experience. Open spleens tend to take on and feel other people's physical wellness, the physical wellness, and their health, and they can almost take on the symptoms of that as well. So with an open spleen taking in and amplifying these energies, the health and well-being of people and your environment can be passed on to you. Now, if you have a defined spleen, you tend to have pretty good sense of your own health and well-being, although if you don't pay attention to the signals, which can be the case, then if you ignore the first sort of 17 messages, then you can end up in that Western medicine need because you're not hearing. Apologies, that was a distraction on my part then. I was just remembering being in the workplace that wasn't particularly good for my health and well-being, and wasn't able to do anything about it as a structure, as a system. So it was something that I'd ignored the signs of for a considerable period of time with a defined spleen, and then realised that I was going to be poorly if I continued in this way. And this was a little message that kept popping up saying, this is not healthy, this is not healthy. Funny, isn't it, how you get these little aha moments even when you've been studying for a while. But yeah, so the undefined spleen will feel that for other people, and levels of guilt, responsibility, what's going to happen in the future. These are kind of questions that come up from the spleen. They tend to be fear-based, questioned, because they are to do with survival. So again, using your strategy and your authority, run them through these centers. If your strategy is to respond, then you're not going to be initiating anything. If your strategy is to wait to be seen, then you need to wait for the right moment. If you've got a lunar strategy, you're going to be waiting longer than anybody else, potentially. You need to wait for those moments rather than rush out to initiate something. That's your strategy first. Then listen to your authority. Listen to the emotional solar plexus or the sacral, wherever your authority is. You could have a splenic authority, which will always keep you safe. As a primacy, it will keep you safe. So you don't almost have to worry unless you're ignoring your spleen. So feel into it. If you do have a splenic authority, practice listening to it. Practice listening to, don't be here, it's not safe. Or let's go here. You're not meant to be spontaneous unless you have a splenic authority. And then you're responding to what your spleen is telling you at that particular point. The spleen also holds feelings of being enough, being good enough. Again, as I said, fear-based, fear that you might not be good enough. You always are. You will always have exactly what you need. But this is the voice of the spleen when it's looking at fear. What if I fail? I feel scared about this, or I don't want that much responsibility or something. The idea that you would not in some way be enough. Please use your strategy and authority and try and manage those energies if you have an open spleen here, because the fear will hold you back over a period of time, and you're here to be wise about those fears. You're here to be wise about the fears, that the things that keep you safe and the things that keep you smaller than you're supposed to be. So trust your strategy and authority. I hope that you're enjoying this, and that the spleen is a little clearer for you. If you have a splenic authority or think you know somebody who does, and you want to discuss this any further, then please reach out. Otherwise, I will speak to you tomorrow when we talk about the emotional solar plexus. Bye bye for now.